June 24th, 2009. The final rehearsal. Michael Jackson arrived at the Staples Center around 6:30 p.m. on June 24th for what would be his final rehearsal. By all accounts, he was in good spirits. He rehearsed Thriller, Smooth Criminal, Earth Song, and Billie Jean. Dancers and crew members said he looked energized, focused better than he'd been in weeks. Kenny Ortega, the tour director, would later say, "That was the Michael I remembered. He was there. He was ready." Michael left the Staples Center around 12:30 a.m. on June 25th. He arrived home at the Carrollwood Mansion shortly after 1 a.m. Dr. Conrad Murray was waiting. 1:30 a.m. 10:40 a.m. The bedroom. What happened over the next 9 hours is based entirely on Dr. Murray's testimony, as he was the only person in the room with Michael Jackson. According to Murray, Michael came upstairs to his bedroom, a large suite on the second floor, with a fireplace, sitting area, and his bed positioned in the center. Michael wanted to sleep. He had another rehearsal scheduled later that day. Murray says he started with standard sedatives. 1:30 a.m., 10 milligrams of Valium, diazepam, by mouth. Michael didn't sleep. 2 a.m., 2 milligrams of lorazepam, Ativan, injected. Michael didn't sleep. 3 a.m., 2 milligrams of midazolam, versed, injected. Michael was restless, frustrated. Talking about the tour, the pressure, his children. 5 a.m., another 2 milligrams of lorazepam. Still, Michael couldn't sleep. 7:30 a.m., another 2 milligrams of midazolam. By this point, the sun was rising. Michael had been awake for over 24 hours. He was begging me, Murray testified. "Please, Dr. Conrad, I need sleep. Give me the milk. I need my milk." 10:40 a.m., Dr. Murray gave in. He administered 25 milligrams of propofol via IV drip, a small dose. According to Murray, far less than the 50 to 100 milligrams he'd been giving on previous nights. Michael closed his eyes. His breathing slowed. He finally fell asleep. Murray sat nearby, monitoring him. He says he stayed for about 10 minutes, watching Michael's chest rise and fall. Then, Murray says he left the room. What Murray did next, this is where Murray's story has changed over time, and where prosecutors would later argue his negligence became criminal. Murray initially told police he left the room for about 2 minutes to use the bathroom. Phone records told a different story. At 11:18 a.m., Murray called his Las Vegas office. The call lasted 2 minutes. At 11:49 a.m., he called another patient. That call lasted 1 minutes. At 11:51 a.m., he sent a text message. At 12:12 p.m., he received a text. For over 45 minutes, Dr. Conrad Murray was not watching Michael Jackson, a patient under propofol anesthesia, a drug that requires constant monitoring because it can cause respiratory failure. When Murray finally returned to the bedroom, Michael Jackson wasn't breathing. 12 p.m. The panic. Murray's timeline of what happened next has been disputed and dissected by medical experts, lawyers, and investigators. According to Murray, he found Michael with his eyes open, not breathing, with a faint pulse. He immediately began CPR one-handed on the bed. He called Michael's personal assistant, Michael Amir Williams, and yelled, "Get help! Get security! Get here now!" He did not call 911. Why didn't Murray call 911 immediately? This question would haunt him during his trial. Prosecutors argued that Murray panicked not because Michael was dying, but because Murray knew what he'd done was indefensible. Murray's explanation: "I was trying to save him. I thought I could bring him back. I didn't want to leave him." Security guards arrived. They found Murray performing CPR with one hand while holding Michael's leg with the other, a bizarre technique that medical experts would later call ineffective and potentially harmful. Alberto Alvarez, a security guard, testified that when he entered the room, he saw IV bags, medical equipment, and Murray in a state of panic. Murray told Alvarez, "Call 911, but don't tell them who the patient is." 12 4:21 p.m., the 911 call. Michael Amir Williams made the call. He never said Michael Jackson's name. The dispatcher asked if the patient was on the floor, standard protocol for CPR. He wasn't. Michael was still on the bed. The dispatcher instructed them to move Michael to the floor. It took precious minutes. Paramedics arrived at 12:26 p.m. When they entered the bedroom, they found a chaotic scene. Medical equipment, 4 stands, Michael Jackson on the floor, and Dr. Murray still attempting resuscitation. One paramedic, Richard Seneff, would later testify, "I asked Dr. Murray what medications had been given. He told me lorazepam. He didn't mention propofol." Paramedics worked on Michael for 42 minutes at the house. His pupils were dilated, he had no pulse, no breathing, he was clinically dead. But Murray insisted they keep trying. 1:07 p.m. Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. Michael was transported to UCLA Medical Center. Doctors continued resuscitation efforts, but it was futile. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead. Dr. Murray stood in the hallway, visibly shaken, making phone calls. He still had not mentioned propofol to anyone. The autopsy. The Los Angeles County coroner performed an autopsy on June 26, 2009. Michael Jackson's body revealed several things. His lungs were chronically inflamed. His heart was strong, contradicting years of rumors about his health. His stomach contained partially digested pills, and his blood contained a lethal combination of drugs. Propofol, 3.2 micrograms per milliliter. Lorazepam, 0.162 micrograms per milliliter. Midazolam, diazepam, lidocaine, and ephedrine were also present. The coroner's conclusion: acute propofol intoxication. Cause of death: homicide. Dr. Conrad Murray had administered a fatal dose of propofol in an unmonitored home setting without proper equipment. But Murray would maintain a different story. Murray's defense: Michael did it to himself. During his trial, Murray's defense team presented a shocking theory. Michael Jackson gave himself the fatal dose. According to this theory, Murray gave Michael a small 25 milligram dose of propofol at 10:40 a.m., then left the room. While Murray was gone, Michael, frustrated that he still couldn't sleep, woke up and injected himself with more propofol from a nearby IV bag. The defense argued that Michael essentially committed accidental suicide and Murray was a scapegoat. Medical experts hired by the defense testified it was possible, though highly unlikely, that Michael could have self-administered propofol in the 8 minutes between when Murray left and when he found Michael unresponsive. Prosecutors destroyed this theory on cross-examination. Dr. Stephen Schaefer, an anesthesiologist and propofol expert, testified, "The timeline doesn't work. The level of propofol in Michael's blood suggests a continuous IV drip, not a single injection. Dr. Murray is lying about what he gave and when." The trial. The People of California versus Conrad Robert Murray began the 27th of September 2011. Murray was charged with involuntary manslaughter, not murder, because prosecutors couldn't prove intent to kill. But they could prove gross negligence. The evidence was damning. Murray had no proper monitoring equipment in the bedroom. He left Michael alone under propofol. He delayed calling 911. He lied to paramedics about what drugs he'd given. He ordered large quantities of propofol shipped to his girlfriend's apartment to hide the purchases. He was on the phone conducting personal business while Michael was dying. The defense argued that Michael Jackson was an addict who manipulated doctors, demanded dangerous treatments, and ultimately caused his own death. The jury didn't buy it. On the 7th of November 2011, Dr. Conrad Murray was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He served 2 years. His medical license was revoked in California, Texas, and Nevada. Life after prison. Conrad Murray was released from prison in October 2013. He was 60 years old, his medical career destroyed, his reputation obliterated, but he didn't stay silent. In interviews, documentaries, and a self-published book, Murray has consistently maintained his version of events, and he's become increasingly bitter. In a 2016 interview with the Daily Mail, Murray said, "I didn't kill Michael Jackson. He was a drug addict, and I was his last hope. I tried to save him. The world needed someone to blame, and I was convenient." In a 2018 documentary, Murray went further. Michael manipulated everyone around him. He got what he wanted. He wanted propofol, and he would have gotten it from someone else if not me. The only difference is, I tried to keep him safe. The questions that remain. Despite the trial, the conviction, and years of analysis, several questions have never been fully answered. 1. Was Michael addicted to propofol? Multiple doctors who treated Michael have confirmed he'd used propofol during previous tours. Dr. Neil Ratner, who traveled with Michael during the History Tour, admitted to administering propofol to help Michael sleep. But addiction to propofol is rare. It doesn't produce euphoria or a high. It simply produces unconsciousness. Michael wasn't chasing a high, he was chasing oblivion. 2. Did other people share responsibility? AEG Live, the concert promoter, was sued by Michael's family for negligent hiring of Dr. Murray. The family argued that AEG pressured Michael to perform despite his deteriorating health and that they knew Murray was giving Michael dangerous drugs. AEG was found not liable in 2013. The jury concluded that while AEG hired Murray, they couldn't have known about the propofol. But emails presented during that trial revealed troubling conversations. Concert director Kenny Ortega wrote to AEG executives, "Michael is in bad shape. He's not eating, he's not sleeping. We need to stop the rehearsals." AEG's response, "You're creating a problem where there isn't one. Get him to rehearsal." 3. Could Michael have been saved? This is the question that haunts every analysis of June 25th, 2009. If Murray had called 911 immediately at 12 p.m. instead of 12:21 p.m., would Michael have survived? Medical experts say it's unlikely. The propofol level in Michael's system suggested he'd already been in respiratory arrest for 15 to 20 minutes before Murray found him. But those extra 21 minutes mattered. Brain damage begins after 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen. Michael Jackson might not have lived, but he might have had a chance. Dr. Murray took that chance away. Murray's final statement. In 2019, on the 10th anniversary of Michael's death, Conrad Murray released a video statement. He looked older, grayer, tired. "I think about Michael every day," he said. "I think about what I could have done differently, but I also know the truth. Michael Jackson was in pain, physical pain, emotional pain. He couldn't sleep. He was terrified of failing. And I tried to help him." He paused. "I was the last person who saw Michael Jackson alive, and I'll be the last person blamed for his death. But I didn't kill him. The world killed him. The pressure, the expectations, the impossibility of being Michael Jackson." He looked directly at the camera. "I was just a person in the room when it all came crashing down." What we know for certain. Michael Jackson died because he was given propofol in a home setting without proper monitoring or equipment. Dr. Conrad Murray administered that propofol. Dr. Murray left Michael alone while he made phone calls. Dr. Murray delayed calling for help. Dr. Murray lied about what drugs he'd given. Those are facts. But here's the harder truth. Michael Jackson was surrounded by people who enabled his worst instincts, record executives who needed him to perform, handlers who gave him whatever he wanted, doctors who prescribed dangerous medications, family members who saw the warning signs but felt powerless to intervene. And Michael himself, a man so damaged by fame, so isolated by celebrity, so desperate for rest, he was willing to be put under anesthesia every night just to escape consciousness. Was Dr. Conrad Murray a murderer? No. Was he criminally negligent? Yes. Was he the only person responsible for Michael Jackson's death? That's the question we'll never fully answer. The bedroom at 100 North Carrollwood Drive. The mansion where Michael died was torn down in 2016. The property was sold. The bedroom where he took his last breath no longer exists. But the story remains. Somewhere in that story is a 50-year-old man who just wanted to sleep, a doctor who made catastrophic decisions, and a tragedy that could have been prevented. On June 25th, 2009, at approximately 12 p.m., Michael Jackson stopped breathing. Dr. Conrad Murray was the only person in the room. And that's the truth, no matter whose version you believe.